important as the river that runs along beside it. A little further up the river, everyone, is Trent University, and it is right at Trent University where this waterway splits. A majority of that water travels down through several dams, hydroelectrical plants, right by Quaker ropes into this marina where we are all sitting right now, although there is a secondary channel. This was a time that a man by the name of Richard Birdsell Rogers, or Harvey Rogers as we like to call him, he was hired to overcome the 77-foot elevation change, or roughly about 23 meters, from the lake that we're sitting in now to that level of the river right at the university. It was at this time he decided to build a giant hydraulic lift lock, a conventional flood lock, and of course the canal system we're going to travel today. As we do make our way into the water today, ladies and gentlemen, if my driving seems to make any of you a little bit nervous, well, we do have a fully stocked bar here on board. That's sometimes very important. We also have coffee, tea, and other cool soft drinks. And if I happen to scare you really badly, right there on the lower deck, right across from the bar, we also have washrooms. So I think we're pretty much prepared. For the next hour and 50 minutes or so, we may be all out of the water. It is at this time that I would like to let everybody know that I am licensed by Transport Canada. We are certified by the Canadian Coast Guard. Hey, come back here. Yep. We need these life-saving devices, of course. My crew on board and myself would quickly hand these out, although a majority of the water we do travel in today is actually just a couple feet underneath the keel of this very vessel. So we sink all the way down to the bottom today, ladies and gentlemen. Stand up, you're going to be just fine. Making our way through the marina and also right off to our right-hand side, if you have ever been to Peterborough before, you might be able to notice there is now a very large white triangular-shaped structure missing right over here, our open-air amphitheater. It was condemned to turn over the city a couple seasons back. Well, the city has now purchased the mobile unit that is sitting in place. They had it constructed here just before Canada Day for Canada Day festivities and concerts all summer long, at least every Wednesday and Saturday night. We're training a captain here today, so if you haven't started drinking, you might want to start. This piece of property just off to our right-hand side here, ladies and gentlemen, was actually known as Hospital Point. You see, back in the early days, the only way to access this area was by water. So people would then be spending weeks or sometimes even months on the vessels. As they would arrive at Peterborough, they would be marched up to this very piece of property where there they would be quarantined. Quarantine is the Latin word for 40, because that's how many days they got kept there before the listening to general population. How did that sound? I just made that up. We are now leaving the marina behind us. We're headed out to one of the smallest lakes on the Trent River waterway, and this does have a very appropriate name, I might add, everyone. It is known as Little Lake, and it is only 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer wide at its widest. Of course, right up the center of our lake here, we don't have 2 flotation devices. We only have 1 here now. Our Peterborough Centennial Mountain up and operating. It was first placed here in the lake in 1967. This is a pretty... I guess I shouldn't really say that it was first place here, because in reality, when it was first place in this lake many, many years ago, it was actually a part of the bay way over to the right-hand side of this mountain. And it was so far in the bay, in fact, that oftentimes on a breezy day like this, the mist from the mountain could be carrying right on the tops of the roofs, amongst the houses you can see on to our right. We know this is Crescent Street, and the people that used to live on Crescent Street, they used to complain to the city almost daily. They felt that they were receiving a second shower on the way to work every morning. They did have the greenest lawns in town, however, nothing was ever done about these complaints. That was until this very same mist continued to drift over the maple trees that are way over in the right-hand corner of the bay. We know this is the Lake Cemetery, and from there, I understand, it began to our way. Go to some of the head cells. We wouldn't put the baby in the mouth, I promise you. Well, you can see a ring over here, look. Very nice. We're not exactly sure who's over there, but they started to complain, and the city quickly came in and moved this mountain 1,000 feet to where it sits right now. Well, all although many of us do inhabit Peterborough now, way back in the early 1800s, we had a man by the name of Adam Scott come here. We were actually in the high school after right here in town. When Adam Scott arrived here, he quickly discovered that this area was absolutely covered in huge white pine trees. So he decided to put in a mill. As that mill began to prosper, a small community then started to grow around it. Wound up getting the name Scott's Mills. Actually kept that name for quite a number of years. That was until about 1825. It was in 1825 we had a man by the name of Peter Robinson come here. Well, when Peter Robinson came here, he brought with him 2,000 people from Ireland. It was at that time that each adult male and family not only given 100 acres of land, but they were also given enough provisions to last almost an entire year. As the population then began to quickly start exploding around this area, they started nicknaming it Peterborough, after Peter Robinson. And eventually that name stuck, and that's why we all know this Peterborough today. Until more recent years, however, the city of Peterborough has come to recognize having this small lake right here in the center of the city. So oftentimes this property has come up to say on the water's edge, the city has swooped